Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the newest episode of the Theater Enthusiast podcast. I'm so delighted to welcome our next guest. What can we say about her? Let's see. She is an Egyptian American actress, first person of color to portray Eliza Doolittle on the Broadway as an understudy national tour. She did recently Claudia in Nine. I have no idea what my preparation was going to be for like introing you, so now it's just like off at the top of my head. What else can we say? What else do you want to like plug? Oh, she was in Light in the Piazza at City Center, and that's one of my favorite musicals. So we're getting into it. We're
Oh, I'm
oh,
down.
we're getting into it because
Oh, yes, I'm down for this.
yeah, because if people who have listened to the podcast know it's one of my favorites, and I had James D. Gish on, and when I like emailed him to come on, I was like, yours. Oh my God, what is it? Your Love to Me was the best version of that song I've ever heard sung.
That man's voice.
It's
No,
not fair. Yeah.
no,
Well, your voice is pretty incredible too. Like I'm going to gush about it in a few minutes. But anyway, please welcome. Hopefully I'm going to say it correctly. I practiced it with you before. Shereen Ahmed. See,
perfect.
it's the Jewish.
Perfect.
Ugh, it's always fun to say a name that has that.
Yeah, it's like the passion. Like,
Yeah.
don't really
Shereen
have that in
Ahmed.
English. Shereen Ahmed. Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course. Sorry, like we like geeked out a little bit about like some previous podcast people I've had on
We did.
and Nine. Well, let's just talk about Nine. Let's just get into it quickly. So, like I mentioned to you, I listened to you sing Unusual Way so many times in the different clips. And you've talked about in the past, like working, especially with My Fair Lady, how it was like a master class for you. And you didn't have I don't want normal isn't the correct way, but you didn't have like the standard musical theater route to get to where you are because you studied, criminal justice and you graduated the degree and you started with vocal performance. I know it's crazy. I know all this. I did my research, I promise. Uh, thank you. And then you said how like, you're working with these amazing performers in My Fair Lady, and now cut two, you're working on Nine with Stephen Pasquale, Carolee Carmello, Elizabeth Stanley, Queen Leslie Margarita, who you and I just like gushed about for like a minute and a half because she's incredible. And then you
Yeah,
have like Andy Blankenbuehler, who is like the right. So
yeah,
why don't we
yeah.
let's just skip everything. Let's talk because you're just fresh off of it. Let's talk about the Nine experience. How did that come to you? You're also playing this character who has probably one of the most iconic songs in the show.
Mm.
Say that because when I was in college, I did an acting for the musical stage class and I did for 2 semesters. And the second semester, they gave me a song from Nine. And everyone's like, oh, is it Unusual Way? And I said, no, they gave me Be on Your Own to sing.
Oh, what a choice.
Right. And so many people like aren't aware or know that song. And it's such a powerful song because you come out literally belting the first line.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's go back to you though. But Unusual Way, let's talk about it. You got to like sing a little with dreamy Stephen Pasquale. Just like let's talk about the whole experience. I'm gonna stop talking, you take it away.
It's a dream. It's a dream come true. And we just closed a week today, a week ago today, which is like wild because this process was so fast. It was like 10 days of rehearsal, 2 days of tech, and then a week of shows. And it was like gone in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
But, you know, so I guess Unusual Way has been a part of my life for so long.
Hmm.
And I didn't really know Nine very well. And that's the thing about Nine. Like Mari Yeston created such a beautiful musical with all of these incredible songs that I didn't realize were in the same show.
Hmm.
Like Be Italian, Folie Bergère, Be on Your Own. But Unusual Way's been with me for a while, but literally just in my bedroom. And it's like the kind of song that if I'm sitting around and I'm like, I should probably sing today, I'm gonna sing Unusual Way. It just like I think it's the kind of song that like speaks to people in so many different ways, in so many different unusual ways.
Yeah.
No. And so for years I would just sing this song weekly. And then I saw that Nine was coming to the Kennedy Center. And I reached out to my team and I was like, hey, like if there's any way I can be seen, for Claudia, like put my name in the hat. Like I
Mm.
need to be a part of this. And this was like a year ago.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, and it's like kind of feel like it's something I've been manifesting. I'm just like I was obsessed with, you know, being a part of this show. I did like a deep dive in Nine, like before I was even cast. It was just like a passion project for me. And then a few months out, I got the offer and I like cried, cried, cried. Um, and then I found out who was going to be a part of it, and I was like, Andy Blankenbuehler, what?
Mm.
Like Steve Pasquale, Elizabeth Stanley, like all of these people that I'm obsessed with and have fangirled over for years are going to be in the same room. Carolee Carmello, like what? Um, and anyway, as part of my prep, I'm bringing that song into my voice lessons weekly. Um, and it just like, it's such a beautiful song, but I felt like there was something just wasn't sitting right for me. For the years that I've been singing it, I'm like, there needs to be some sort of heartbreak and pain. And it's eventually I got to the point where it's like, I don't care if it's pretty.
Hmm.
Like, I don't care if it's pretty. She has to like scream and shout and get ugly at some point. And that's when I decided that like there needed to be some sort of like belty moment in it that just like comes from the gut. And that wasn't until like the day before that press day that I made a decision to like, I don't care if it's ugly, but I'm gonna scream this and is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, and it felt like it spoke to me in the realest way possible. But back, I guess, going back a little bit, Andy had reached out and he's like, hey, do you want to have a meeting before we jump into rehearsals? Because there's absolutely no time for us to talk character, for us to talk story.
Mhm.
And, previously I had never worked with Andy, but everyone who had in my circle was like, you're going to dance, girl. I'm like, no, Claudia doesn't dance. Okay. Like fast forward, I'm in here dancing in every scene known to man. I was just like, I have not been connected to my body in that way in so long. Um, and it felt like so freeing. Andy's like, I feel like the music in Nine just lends to a physical language that hasn't been explored before. And now that we've done it, it's like, that's the only way I want to see Nine now, like to movement and to dance. And it just fits so perfectly. And that man's a genius.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, it was the most incredible experience. 18 women, one man, and of course, Charlie, who is an icon who played Little Guido. Like, we were talking about this experience after we had closed Sunday night. We like got around a table and had some wine and drinks, and we were just talking about how incredible it was. And I think I came to the conclusion that it was just like 18 women who have done their therapy and continue to do their therapy, grounded in what makes them special and unique and fearless, just like this fearless badass energy was in the room every single day. Like, I don't know, I feel changed, and a lot of us feel changed by it. It was like I was in a room full of teachers.
Yeah.
um yeah, it like just the most incredible experience. I feel so grateful.
Yeah. I want to get back to something you said that I thought was so interesting, and I think it's so true to finding a character and how you perform a song.
Yeah.
How the song Unusual Way, how you were always so connected to it, but when you got the part and you were going through it, you were trying to figure out, I guess, like your version of the character song, like version of that song and how you made it ugly or a little bit ugly, you don't care. I think that's so important too, because I think in school, I don't remember, but people are like, as long as it comes out sounding how it's supposed to sound, you shouldn't care what your face looks like, you know? And I think that's so true to what you were saying. Like, it doesn't have to be pretty if it's emotionally connected to the story that you're telling. I just think that's so important. So I just wanted to touch on that, especially because one of the big parts of the podcast for me is having people listen who want to make kind of like get their foot in the industry and listen to people's stories on how they're doing it and their journey, what it's like for them. So I think that's so important to for people to hear that it doesn't have to be pretty.
No.
It doesn't.
And the day, so I was, when I say like I had my voice lesson with incredible Chris York, who was my teacher,
Mhm,
like twice a week, every week for months, working on this one song, this one piece that I felt like I just couldn't crack. Um, and like technically, like it just lives in my voice, right?
mhm,
But in a character driven way, it just wasn't where I wanted it to land yet.
mhm,
And something he told me when I was getting, I taught myself how to sing. Sometimes I get really lost in the technique of it all, right? I'm
mhm,
like, is it healthy? Does it sound good? Does it sound round? Is it like
mhm,
living where it should be? And he was like, Shereen, all the sounds you make are have worth.
mhm,
So whether you go on stage and you're belting it or you're making it a beautiful legit soprano or you're doing whatever, it all has worth
yeah,
and weight. And that was just like a moment for me where it was like, oh, so if it's ugly and it speaks to me, like it has worth. It doesn't have to be just like a pleasant experience, like audible experience. Like, I don't know, something about that just unlocked a whole different part of a character for me that I hadn't explored yet. And I really appreciated him telling me that in the moment I needed to hear it. Uh, yeah, it all has worth. All the sounds that we make
mhm,
have value.
yeah. And what I also love about your voice too, it's youthful but very rich and mature at the same time, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Because like I said, I in my research of you have been listening and following up, and it's just I love beautiful voices, and you and I just even talking about like James D. Gish and like his voice. And like the one person who affects me the most like physically is like Norm Lewis, especially when he sings Phantom. Like my body like physically reacts to like
Yeah.
when he sings Phantom. So I
Yes.
just really love beautiful voices. And that's why I'm excited to have you on because you're one of the people who I think just has this like stunningly beautiful voice as well. And so I'm very excited. And now you've unlocked even more of the power of your voice,
Yeah. I
based on this.
definitely,
So I'm really excited to see like now that you've have I don't want to say permission, but like you've given yourself permission now to like get I don't want to say ugly, but kind of like get down dirty with your voice. That sounds appropriate, right?
yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of like just this idea of, for me personally, like loving my voice. Like it's almost like I get too close to it that
Mm-hmm.
I'm like in the weeds of my voice sometimes. And that's just like part of being an artist, right? Like, and just taking a step back and being like I said, all the sounds that I make in my body have value. And so, and like loving it again,
Mm-hmm.
versus especially when doing things, I do a lot of revivals. And so it's like Light in the Piazza,
Mm-hmm.
Unusual Way, which is like one of the most beautiful musical theater songs ever. Like, talk about pressure.
Yeah.
I was like, people are expecting a sound
Mm-hmm.
with that song. They hear the harp and they're like, I know what I'm in for. It's going to be something really beautiful. But it's like, if it needs to come from somewhere that's like feels real for me and genuine for me. And then that way it feels genuine and real for the audience as well.
Yeah.
Um, and just trusting that like what my voice does is okay.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
there's so many, it's like a roller coaster of emotions being an artist.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy you mentioned because I mean, it's been a few years since My Fair Lady, and that was kind of, I don't want to say your big break, but that's kind of was your big break. And you
Yeah.
have talked about the My Fair Lady experience a lot, so we don't have to really get into it. but you were in the ensemble, you understudied Laura Benanti, and then you went on the national tour. So you mentioned revivals, and I've asked different people who have come on who have played iconic roles before how they make it their own. So something like that, you're understudying a person, and that also leads into the understudy conversation. But then you book the role for yourself. You're doing the role on the tour. How do you make it your own and try not to copy, or what did you take from the Broadway production to the national tour, if any of that makes sense?
Yeah, totally. It's always a work in progress for me because it's just about trusting my instincts and like getting back to listening to my gut.
Mhm,
And the moment I feel like I'm copying something, it's like my gut is like out of whack. Like everything just feels completely out of whack, and that like the artistry is like stripped away,
mhm,
right? So I really work hard to insulate myself and really zero in on the material and how that speaks to me.
mhm,
And I'm not the kind of person who like really insulates myself in a way of like I shut out all of like the people who come before me, because I do feel like they're like ancestors to me.
mhm,
Like I couldn't have played Eliza unless Laura and Lauren and Melissa Errico and Julie Andrews and Audrey Hepburn came before me. Do
mhm,
you know what I mean? Like, and that's just my process. And I take, it's like, what is that saying? Steal like an artist.
mhm,
It's like I take things that they have bestowed upon me, and then
mhm,
I run with it in a way that feels aligned with how I approach a role. And that gives me permission to explore for myself what a character or what a piece or a song says.
mhm.
And it's a constant like meditation and practice of listening to my gut and my instinct, and how also like honoring what my body does, especially when like approaching a song. If something's on a break for me, what lends itself to make that feel motivated, or that sound feel motivated? Like where does it land in my body and what does that say? And like run with that, you
Mhm.
know? And don't and not trying very hard not to deny all those parts of myself,
Yeah.
because like I can't be Julie Andrews.
Mhm.
Julie Andrews does Julie Andrews really well.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm not going to be Audrey Hepburn. I'm not going to be Laura Benanti singing Unusual Way. She sings Unusual Way so well as Laura Benanti. So like, where is the Unusual Way that Shereen Ahmed, like, where is the Shereen in that? You
Mhm.
know, and it's constantly a constant exploration and discovery. And also, as a human, I evolve. And so, like, meeting myself where I am and meeting the piece where I am.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's layered, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I also just want to like really quickly talk about your audition process with it, because it's so, again, you didn't study musical theater, you started vocal performance and then you switched over to criminal justice, which I think is just like, I'm like nerding out over you so much. I just think it's like so cool. And then like you had your own route. You were like, while I'm studying this, I'm gonna do like my own version of like, theater. I'm gonna do community theater. I'm gonna do voice lessons. And you just went to an open call. And there was somebody who I interviewed a while back, and they were in a Broadway production of Romeo and Juliet. And they said, my agents weren't going to send me in. So I just went to an open call and I booked the show.
Wild. See?
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, do you want to talk a little bit about the audition experience quickly about My Fair Lady?
Ah, yeah, it's so funny. I tell this story and I'm like, was that really my story? Like it sounds like something like made up, but it's true.
Hmm.
I So I was fresh out of college. I got my degree in criminal justice. And the reason why I decided to go into performing, I did an internship at a mental health court in Baltimore. And part of the internship was to assess offenders for mental illness.
Mhm.
right? If they that could be used in their court case. And we would sit there for hours and listen to these offenders about their life from childhood to the moment that we met them.
Mhm.
The empathic actor artist part was like, oh, like this is not for me. I am not like emotionally equipped for this. However, thank you because this helps me in my art and everything that I do on stage, right?
Mhm.
Um, so then I had, done a cruise ship contract. I traveled the world. It was amazing. I'm in New York for 2 weeks, and all everyone said was like, just go to all the open calls, like all of them, even if you're not right for it, which is like the worst advice ever. So I'm going room to room to room. I'm getting called back for dance shows, and I am not a dancer. I went to a callback, not kidding. The choreographer was like, I think you're in the wrong room. That's how bad I was. I left. I'm in Pearl. I think it was Pearl. Yeah, it was like one of those big studios. And one of like a mutual friend's walking in the hallway. She's like, "Hey, My Fair Lady is doing an open call and no one's there." It was an open call for Mrs. Pierce, who's like one of the like matron maids in the show.
Mhm.
No one's in there. Why don't you go be seen by Telsey? And I was like, okay. They're like 16 bar, or I think it was 16 bars or 32 bars or something. I go in, I sing from the Music Man. And I was like, I felt so like good about myself knowing that like I could do something that I'm really good at. And that was sing legit music. And that was it. Like that was all I wanted, was just to like reassure myself that you are good at what you do. You just got like kicked out of this callback, but like, you know, it was just the reassurance I needed. So anyway, the next day I got a call back for Bart Shear and Ted Sperling and the whole creative team backstage at the Lincoln Center. And I like walk in and I see the Light in the Piazza poster with Kelly O'Hara. And I
Mhm.
was like, this is insane. I can't believe I'm backstage at the Lincoln Center. And I was like, bragging rights, like, I don't need to book this. I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
I really didn't think I was going to book it. I didn't have an actor. I wasn't part of the, or an agent. I'm sorry. I didn't have an agent. I wasn't part of the union. Like, no way in hell I thought I was going to book this. So I just like enjoyed my time backstage. I
Yeah.
sang some Eliza music. I got through maybe like 3 lines of Eliza material and then was seen out. And I remember, I called my mom and I was like, I don't think I booked that. So I was making like my pity potato soup because that's all I could afford at the time. And I get a call from the casting and they're like, you're going to make your Broadway debut.
Oh, yeah,
And
like, I'm crying for you. Sorry.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
it makes me
Yeah.
because I'm not, I was holding a potato like because that's all that I could afford. And I'm like sleeping on my friend's couch. And I'm not the kind of person to like, faint or be
Mhm.
dramatic, but I did fall to my knees because I was like, this is a gotta be a joke. Like, you're kidding. Um, and and then the rest is history. Like, and I was just woman number like 16, but I if I wasn't being used, I was in the rehearsal room watching. If I wasn't in the scene, I was backstage in the wings watching. Not thinking that I was going to ever cover Eliza, but
Mhm.
because I knew that there are teachers all around us.
Mhm.
And I get to watch Norbert Leo Butz do his thing or figure out a scene or ask questions and get vulnerable and be like, I have no idea how to approach this monologue. Like, what do you think? Like, these people that I have put on pedestals are humans trying
Mhm.
to figure out a piece as well. And it was incredible to watch these icons and learn from them because I didn't have that. Like,
Mhm.
I wasn't in acting 101. That was my acting 101, was just
Mhm.
watching.
Yeah.
Um, and I wouldn't have, like I said before, I wouldn't have been prepared to play Eliza had I not, you know, taken a step back and really take in the people around me,
Hmm.
and learn from them. So it's, I was thrown in the deep end, but it was the best way for me to learn.
Yeah. Do you remember your first performance as Eliza, or is it all just kind of like blacked out of your head?
I remember, what's crazy? I would be blacked out, but I remember every single moment. It was like still probably to this day the most zen present I've ever been on stage.
Yeah.
Even for like roles I've prepared weeks for that
Hmm.
are mine. Like that, I think I had been manifesting in my head since a kid of like my principal Broadway debut for so long that it was like, it's here. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Like, you can either let this anxiety and fear, which I definitely had riding on me throughout the entire show,
Hmm.
like overcome you, or you can embrace it and like move through it.
Hmm.
And I always, like I battle a little bit with stage fright sometimes. And whenever I'm approaching the stage and I'm feeling that fear, I remember that Eliza performance. And I'm just like, you can either be this or that, and you are capable of being able to be present. So, like, take your breath, go on stage, and do the thing. Do the thing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
You also made your debut in my favorite Broadway house as well.
Oh,
Like my favorite Broadway director. Like give me any like classic musical Broadway revival directed by Bart Scher at Lincoln Center. I will say I have manifested, and again, for those who have listened to the podcast know this, I've been manifesting for years a ragtime revival directed by him at the Vivian Beaumont, but they're doing it at City Center. And at
yeah.
least like two of my dream cast people are actually doing the show. So, I mean, at least I have that happening.
I mean, he's like a genius in his own right as well. Like, he's super cerebral and like intellectual, and he can break down a scene in ways I've like never that are like I've never thought of, like read between the lines and bring it into modern day.
Mhm,
Like, he's just incredible. I mean, I can go on and on and on about him.
mhm,
Um, but one thing I do take from him as just like a life lesson, when opening night for the tour came around, he's like, there's going to be a lot of critics, there's going to be a lot of reviews coming in. Don't read anything, because the good reviews are just as bad for you as the bad reviews. And I kind of took that as like a life lesson of like, yeah, just like stay neutral, like in general. Like, art is so subjective,
yeah, I
you know?
agree. Mhm,
And it's like it's just like, stay neutral. Everything feeds your ego. So like it's best to just approach everything moment by moment, and I don't read anything.
good. Well, yeah, no, that is good. Well, no, I agree with that because it is subjective. Because there's, and I've said this for years, like there are musicals out there that I love that people don't. There are
Mm,
performances that I love that people don't. And it's really like to each its own. You know what I mean? You can't please everybody. There's not everything out there for every,
exactly.
and your performance may affect someone and might not affect somebody the same way. So, and I always say like that's their problem. Like,
Right, right,
yeah.
exactly. And like, we're talking about how I approach a character is just like, unusual way speaks to me in this way. It might not speak to you in that way.
Yeah.
But it, like I said, it's all subjective.
Yeah. And that's also like a big thing. Sorry, I was talking over you. What did you say?
No, I just said, and that's what makes art amazing.
Yeah. And that's also the thing too. Like people are very critical about like replacements in shows. And it's like, stop. just
Right.
just enjoy. And
Yeah.
I remember too when I'm long since graduated from college and there was a particular person who this is a couple years ago that was going to be like a guest professor at the college, and somebody was like commenting like, "Oh, I can't believe this, blah blah blah." I was like, "Why are you like they have more of a career than you do. Like they've originated roles on Broadway. They've done this,
Yeah.
they've done that. Like you haven't even pursued a career. So like why are you judging this person based off of like one thing that they're known for the best?
Yeah, and it's like I said before, there's teachers all around us. And
Yeah.
like when I'm researching a show, for example, um I watched the revival and I watched the original My Fair Lady, of course,
Mhm.
when I was preparing for Eliza. And it's like, you know, the way that that scene was approached by that particular actor
Mhm.
is what spoke to them. It doesn't speak to me. Thank you. Like, thank you. I take it
Yeah.
all in. And it doesn't mean it was bad. It
Yeah.
doesn't, that's not at all. It's just like, thank you. Now I know how to approach the scene that speaks to me.
Mhm.
And, um, there's so much to be learned by everyone's different approach to art and to a show and to music and to a scene. Like,
Yeah.
that's what makes it so special.
Yeah, and that's what I think is so great about art, and it's always evolving, and everybody's always learning, which is
Yeah.
also great. I mean, getting back to you with like your voice with, Claudia and Nine, now you have like this permission to allow, and I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm like, this is what this is now for you. But you're gonna allow yourself to like be okay with getting dirty with like whatever performance or whatever show you have next, which hopefully you can tell me at some point. Not on podcast, because I'm sure um, but I'm curious to know about it. But so you tour the country with My Fair Lady. I would love also to touch upon representation with you at some point. Because you were the first person of color to play the role of Eliza, and you have spoken about it before. So, but I'm curious to know, like, once the tour ended, like, what happened next after the tour?
So once the tour ended, so we were, I think, a week out, and I
Mhm.
was doing auditions, like all the self tapes you can think of
Mhm.
every week
Mhm.
while doing Eliza Doolittle. Like I was exhausted by the end of this tour. And mind you, this is like during the pandemic. So it was like a totally different way of touring too.
Yeah.
Um, and super isolating. And so then an audition comes in for a Man of No Importance at Classic Stage for the role of Adele. It was like a scene and a song, Princess. And I was so burnt out
Mhm.
that I passed. Oh, hold on. I'm home. And so, family. Um,
Okay.
so anyway, what was I saying? The audition comes in for Adele. I pass because I was like, I'm so burnt out. I'm so tired. Like I have no brain cells for me to learn this music. And then my manager's like, I think you should really consider at least singing the song. I'm like, okay, fine. So I sing Princess in my hotel while I'm like packing up all the things for tour. I do one take, one, because I was like, that's all you're getting. I'm over it. I'm not over the song, just like over auditioning.
Yeah.
And um I send it in, and then the next day they're like, you booked it. I was like, what? It's like crazy. It's like the moment that you just release to
Yeah.
the world, like it things land where they're meant to be.
Mhm.
Um, so then I did Man of No Importance with the incredible John Doyle. He teaches as well. Um, but he's like the coolest dude.
Yeah.
Like, he works a lot off of instinct. And I remember a week in rehearsals, he had us performing our scenes in complete darkness with just a ghost light. And we didn't know why. And by the end of the week, he's like, I wanted you all to listen to each other. And once the lights came on the next week, it was like a whole different cast of beings. Like we were just not concerned about how we looked anymore or how things were being perceived because we don't know. We were just listening so intently to each other. Um, he was just the best. Also another incredible mentor for me. Um, but fun fact, I'm in like a talk back with Stephen Flaherty and Lynn Ahrens,
Mhm.
and they're talking about the audition process and they come to my self tape and Steven was like Shireen sang Princess beautifully, but what really nailed it was at the very end, she forgot to crop out about 15 seconds of her like thanking her reader and being like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that's over. Like that was so stressful." Like, and I'm thinking to myself, like, can't be me. He got me confused with someone else. Like, no way. I am like really good about making sure that my self tapes are like professional, whatever. I go back, there it is.
Wow.
Me just being, 15 seconds of like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad it's over. Blah, blah. Thank you, Sam. You're the best. Thank you. Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, we just saw like such a human behind, you
Mhm.
know, the tape that it was endearing. And I don't know, that just goes to show that like whoever's listening, even your mistakes sometimes are like what get you the job.
Yeah, no, it's totally true. I mean, in my experience, like talking with so many people throughout like however long doing this, I've heard so many stories similar to that too. And it's so true. Just, be yourself. So speaking of being yourself, because I think that's a good transition to representation. And what I also really love too, because I saw this on your website and I was like, oh, this is so cool. Because you're actually an ambassador for a global ambassador for educational of employment. And I think that's such a cool thing. So I would love for you to talk about that as well, if you wouldn't mind. So being a person of color in this industry, and you have talked about for so long that you were trying to like fit in, and then once you decided just to like be yourself, that kind of helped you along your journey, I guess you can say. And if you can talk about how you got involved with education, how am I pronouncing it, education for employment?
And yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like I'm really, really grateful that My Fair Lady was my first like thing, I
Mhm.
guess, or project, because they really truly embraced who I am. Whereas previously, I was doing like a lot of community theater and
Mhm.
stuff and kind of like creating a patchwork musical theater program with what I could
Mhm.
in back in Baltimore. Uh and yeah, I still to this day really don't see anyone like me on stage in musical theater. Um, Arab American, Arab, Egyptian, Middle Eastern, like there are so many names for it. But I really felt like I was creating my own path. But as I'm creating it, I do want to say like it's scary because there's no one to look up to. Like I'm still searching constantly for like someone else who's Middle Eastern in this,
Mhm.
Middle Eastern woman, I will say, who's in this trying to like create a career for herself that doesn't mean that she's just playing Aladdin. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm looking for something a little bit with a little bit more spectrum as an
Mhm.
actor. And so anyway, when it came to My Fair Lady, Eliza's race, Eliza's identity is never brought up.
Mhm.
Anyone can play Eliza.
Yeah.
And I'll say it felt so freeing to talk about things other than my race, my identity,
Mhm.
and even my romantic status as as a leading lady in a musical, in a legit musical as well.
Mhm.
Because as women too, there's that other layer of like we're always tied to like the romantic interest. There's always like a man that we're like pining over or something.
Mhm.
And I'm just like not interested. I'm not That's not like my day-to-day life. Like why do I have to like perform that on stage every night? Like it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Um so that felt freeing in itself. And also when it came to like wigs and hair,
Mhm.
they matched my 3C coils perfectly in and like I say that it's so important because for women like me who have hair like me, especially when we're doing shows like My Fair Lady, it's so easy to just put a straight hair wig on and call it a day because it's easier to put into those beautiful updos, right?
Mhm.
But Tom Watson made it a point to make sure that audiences across the board felt seen in Eliza Doolittle. And to have like my curly pattern in an old school updo from like 1912 was just incredible. Like I felt like the team really looked at me and embraced all of me. Um, and that felt so freeing. And I took that with me onwards because, you know, my first, I guess, few years in the industry, I would skip class in college and try to go out auditions and all the things. And I'd have casting directors be like, have you thought about changing your name to Sherry? Or like straighten your hair? Or I had done a contract where they're like, you know, your hair is just a little bit messy. Like think about blow drying it out or whatever. You know, all of these little microaggressions that really made me feel like I had to completely change who I was and hide who I was.
Mhm.
Um, it affirmed for me that when I show up as who I am fully,
Mhm.
uh, it's embraced.
Yeah.
And like the right people will find you too, and the right shows and the right teams will find you.
Yeah.
Um, so it's been quite a journey, but uh one that I think is ever evolving in our industry.
Yeah. That's so great. And I do think that's true to like your career, that when you've been most true to yourself, that's when you're just like getting the things, if
Yeah,
that makes sense. So
yeah.
do you want to talk about really quickly before we like jump into Piazza, because I want to make sure that we have plenty of time for that. Do you want to talk quickly about education for employment?
Yeah, Education for Employment is an incredible organization that I came upon during the pandemic. I got this like Instagram DM from one of the women that works in the office, and they're like, "Hey, would you want to do a collaboration at some point?" And I'm like, "Tell me more." I go to their website, I have a few meetings with them, and they're an organization that connects Middle Eastern youth to trainings in order for them to get the skills they need to have jobs. Because in the Middle East, unfortunately, there is a wide range of youth that are unemployed because there's just no job market there. There's just no opportunities for them there. So a lot of these kids and students leave and they're not bringing that wealth of knowledge back to their countries in order to like build and improve upon their own communities. So the whole goal is to make sure that the Middle East is a place where they can thrive.
Mhm.
And what I especially love about this organization is that there are no political or religious agendas. I mean, there are people from all over the world, from all different religions and backgrounds that just care about the region and care about these youth getting opportunities. So it's been wonderful, a wonderful few years of work with them. And we had our first benefit in New York. We raised a ton of money for providing these trainings and skills for students.
Mhm.
And there's mentorship programs and all of these amazing opportunities. So if anyone out there is listening and wants to be a part of it, um, please reach out, go to efe.org, and we'll find ways for you to collaborate with us. It's a wonderful organization.
I'm so happy that we got to speak about this, because when I saw that you were, because I just love when performers have like really cool things going on like that. I think you can like see me like nerding out at you like this entire podcast. It's like, oh my God, that's so cool. Oh my God, your voice. Okay, anyway, enough is enough. Now what we are really here for, not truly, but let's talk about Piazza. It's ironically saw it at the Vivian Beaumont where you made your Broadway debut. I did not see the original cast. I saw the replacement cast with Katie Rose Clark and Aaron Lazar and Victoria Clark. I'm going to age myself. I was a freshman in college when I saw it for the first time. Saw it 4 times on Broadway. If I ever need a good cry, like if you know you just like you need a release, I will listen to the overture of Light in the Piazza, and then I'll listen to like that one part where Margaret goes, Clara, the light in the at the end of Fable.
Oh,
It gets me every time. And I will say that I almost did not see the City Center production because I know because it is my favorite musical. And I was just like, I'm just so and it's that thing of like, art, it's subjective, whatever. But I was just so like, I don't want something to like influence or ruin it for me. But then they announced the rest of the cast, and I was like, you know what? I kind of need to see this now. And I'm so bummed I only saw it once, but it was so great. And I know everyone at the time was like the hottest, like, I think there was like something I saw on social media where it's like the hottest gay club right now is like in the Piazza at City
yes.
Center.
Yes.
Like, and it was a pride. It was just like everyone was living for it and everybody wanted the revival to happen. And I heard it's not happening. I may or may not have heard it from a co-star viewers because I asked, but yeah, just like tell me what it was like portraying Franca because like that part is just so like badass, but also heartbreaking at the same time.
Yeah.
So, like, how did Piazza come into your life?
Yeah, so Piazza came into my life initially. It was like, "Are you interested?" I'm like, "Am I interested?" Like
Was this
that
like a direct offer or like interested in auditioning?
it was a it was a direct offer, which was my first direct offer. And so for me as Shireen, I was like, "Wow, like that never happens." And it felt like a lot of reassurance as to like the work that I've been doing. Um, and I was like, "Am I interested?" This is like a hell yes. Are you kidding? Like, no one does Piazza. And like to do it at Encores,
Yeah.
yes. And with Ruthie Ann Miles,
Yeah.
hell yes.
Mhm.
Um, so then I found out that like Che Yu was directing, who is brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. And he assembled an incredible group of people, and all the principals were people of color, which was like incredible. And we have, of course, our incredible James Gish. Um, Yeah, it was like similar to Nine, 10 days of rehearsal, like shot out of a cannon, get out of your own way, make choices. And Che is really good at being like, yes, yes, no, like not that, but try this. And like, which was so refreshing.
Yeah.
Um, because just tell me if it works or if it doesn't.
Yeah.
But as far as Franca, yeah, she has so much depth.
Yeah.
There's so many layers to it that I was like, okay, I could either play. A lot of people look at Franca as like, she's the villain or whatever. She's just like the mean one. Well, no, let's like find the humanity of her. And Joy You Feel was by far the hardest song I've ever had to learn in my entire life.
Mhm.
Um, that's not a joke, Adam Gettle. Um, but he wrote it so brilliantly because every single instrument is telling a different story that Franca is not speaking on.
Yeah.
And my process with Piazza was just listening to the music over and over and over and over again, especially Joy You Feel, because it, like you said, you sit down in the overture and there's no lyrics, there's no voices, but it's saying everything. And like infusing your body with so much emotion that it's hard to even speak on,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
That it's like, how do I create a character that is saying so much without saying much? Because she didn't really there's no like big scenes that Franca has, right? And, it all comes to love. Like Light in the Piazza is all about love and the heartbreaking ways that love exists in our life, the expansive ways it exists in our life. And Franca's kind of like on the other end of the spectrum. She's a little further ahead than I keep saying Anna because I just love her so
No, you
much.
can say her.
Oh,
Yeah.
Clara, Claire,
Mhm.
and Claire? No,
Clara.
Clara. Yeah, I was like, that's not right.
Or if I could do my really bad Italian accent as Franca. Clara.
Clara. Yes,
Clara,
Clara.
I love what you are wearing, or whatever the learning Italian. Oh my God, learning English.
Actor
What a
play.
great scene.
But yeah, and so it's like, why is she singing Joy You Feel to her? Because she has love for her and she just wants her to she wants to make sure that she is safe
Yeah,
and doesn't end up heartbroken like Franca is, which eventually we find, we Rod and I made a choice that like they can't just like hate each other the whole show.
yeah.
No.
Mhm.
Like there has to be love, there has to be something that keeps them together and they love each other so deeply
Yeah,
that what is beautiful about the Italian passion of it all is that sometimes it comes out as yelling
yeah,
and screaming at each other. And
yeah,
that felt like such a release. So like the whole process just felt like emotional release,
yeah.
whether I was on stage or not.
Mhm.
Um, it was another transformative experience for me, for
Yeah.
sure.
Do you have any other dream roles or projects that you would like to undertake or do?
I can think of two off the top of my head. I
Yeah.
would love to play Aldonza in Men of La Mancha.
Mhm.
That's like dream role. And then why hasn't anyone done Cleopatra at Shakespeare in the Park? Hello.
Yeah.
Like,
True.
I'm Egyptian. I'm here. I'm ready to play Cleopatra.
Listen, I will say, and I always, I take full credit for this, but I had an actor on like 2 years ago, and I was like, what do you want to do? They're like, I want to do Shakespeare in the Park. And I was like, listen, and he's like, it's too late to audition. I shit you not. Like maybe a few days, a year later, after his episode was like recorded and released, they announced him in the cast of Hamlet. So
But,
manifested for you
let's
here.
manifest it.
I'm not saying that it was because of the podcast, but it was mentioned. And then, like, around the time a year later, they were playing, they were in the cast of Hamlet. So,
Let's manifest this.
yeah,
Cleopatra, hello. You need
yeah.
an you call
Listen, it can happen not next year because they already announced that show,
me.
but,
Right.
year or two to follow. Like, get Shireen as Cleopatra. Like, let's do this.
Let's do it.
I can see, and listen, I also tell people too, like, it doesn't have to be Shakespeare in the Park. You can do Shakespeare anywhere. Just go to like
Right.
a
But
creek.
nobody does that show. So it's like,
That's so true. Well, they do it in England, I feel like. I feel like I've seen like national theater productions of like Antony and Cleopatra, but
right, right.
uh,
But like,
yeah, that's so true.
come
Like
on,
nobody
America.
does it here.
No,
I think you need to change that. Like we're starting this podcast, it's gonna be like, we're gonna manifest it for you.
we're gonna produce it. Just kidding. Can't do it.
Okay, we'll
Don't.
find
But
people.
we'll
Do you
find people.
yeah, do you have any like top going theater experiences?
Top going theater experiences. Oh my gosh. I saw The Ferryman, which
Oh my God, this is why
I,
we're now friends because
I,
I saw it twice. It
oh,
blew my mind. I
oh
saw
my,
it a second time. I got closer seats, still was like shocked by the ending. I have a tote
like,
in my apartment from the show.
I was sitting there and I was like, is what's happening really happening? Like, did I miss something? It's really happening right now. Like, it was one of those things. Oh, and like the way the actors just kind of like lived in the world and like let the words do the thing.
Mhm.
That and then I saw Cabaret recently and oh my God, I'm losing the name. Who's playing Sally right now?
I'll rank him.
Gail Rankin.
Yeah.
I think changed my life, maybe.
I I have nothing against like anybody who was nominated for a Tony Award this year, but if they were like Allison, you are the only person allowed to give out a Tony Award. And Kelly O'Hara is my queen, and her performance in Days of Wine and Roses is probably the best thing I've ever seen her do,
Oh,
especially that scene when she's in the hotel room drunk. Like I'm
yeah.
compelling right now. They can't see it on screen because audio. But I personally, like, if it was me and they're like, Allison, you're the only one to give out a Tony, who would you give it to? I would have given it to Gail Rankin. Like her Sally was
Like
incredible.
incredible. Like she went somewhere. That woman went
Yeah.
somewhere. And my teacher coaches some people in cabaret, including Gail. And so he goes in often to watch and just take notes. And he was like, she does it differently every single time.
Wow.
And I just like, she's like one of those actors that I aspire to be, where she trusts herself so much. Like you can tell that you are in good hands when she's on stage because she knows what she's doing and she doesn't necessarily know what's coming out of her mouth, but it's gonna work because she's trusting the story and her instincts. And I just was like completely changed by her performance.
Yeah. Yeah. I see.
Untouchable. Mm-hmm.
I know. Yep. Queen Kelly. She's like everyone.
Queen Kelly.
Everyone knows that. So they have this joke or this thing. It's like, how will people know if you were kidnapped if you had to put a message out there? So
Mm.
everybody knows it's either I love Taylor Swift, which I don't, or I hate Kelly O'Hara. So that's how they know I'm in trouble. So it's one of the two.
Okay, noted.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Kelly is untouchable as well. Like the voice of gods, and also like her acting is incredible. She's just all the things.
I think it was like around when she was doing The King and I, like she walked by me at Lincoln Center and I cried. Like that's how much of a nerd I am.
Oh, which also I want to say this because we were just talking about Piazza. I
Mhm.
went to go see her in Days of Wine and Roses,
Mhm.
and I met her backstage, and I was just like, "You're incredible," just like going fangirling. And then she's like, "And congratulations, Franca." And I was like, because she originated Franca, and so
Yeah.
it's like, great job, Franca.
Which
Congratulations.
weirdly, you know that Stephen Pasquale originated the role of Fabrizio and you just did a show with him,
It's all like full circle. It's just
right?
really weird. Yeah,
And I
yeah.
only know this because there's some like really old, like raggedy like YouTube clip of like a production they did in Seattle of Piazza with like Stealing Keenan and Bolger as Clara.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. It's just like all coming. I don't know. It's like a weird universe moment
yeah.
for sure.
I love how you and I are just like theater nerding so hard. That's what's so great about this podcast.
I know. I love it.
Yeah, so let's do because I know you need to go, but I really would love to do these inside the actor studio questions with you super quickly. Okay, so what is your favorite word?
Coffee.
That's my favorite smell, and I don't
Oh,
drink coffee.
what?
I know, it's weird.
Oh
I mean,
my God.
I like coffee flavored things, but like straight coffee, I can't do it.
I think coffee is my favorite, all things like coffee as a word, coffee as a smell, coffee scrubs, just coffee.
Yeah, great. Well, if anybody's listening and whenever your birthday is or the holidays, just coffee.
Give me coffee. I'm happy.
What is your least favorite word?
Oh, least favorite word. Let me think. I think it's like a lot of people's least favorite word. I don't like crusty.
Weirdly, I haven't heard it that often on here.
Like, I don't know, something about crusty is just like it sounds crusty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just like, don't use that word. Don't say crusty around me.
Well,
That's just,
what about just the word crust, like pizza crust?
I could do pizza crust, but
Okay.
if you're like that's a little crusty, I'm just like, oh, I don't know. It just gives me like, ugh.
We'll move on because I know you're already getting like the heebie-jeebies. Um, what turns you on?
What turns me on? Confidence. Just like watching someone confident, speaking with someone who's confident, confidence. Yeah.
What turns you off?
Arrogance.
What is your favorite curse word?
It's a tie between like shit and fuck.
Or like you can do like fuck this shit. You can add it into that.
Shit, shit, fuck. Or like, but like it just, it's like one of those things where you like shit, like fuck. Like it just feels like a release when you say,
Yeah.
you know?
And how you just said it too, I felt a release for you. Like,
Yeah, it's not the same thing as like, darn.
yeah.
Like, no, it doesn't hit. you
Yeah.
know?
What sound or noise do you love?
Oh, I do this. I don't realize I do it, but when I have like nothing to say or I'm excited or sad, like I'll go like, wow. Like it's like happy, like or like sad. I'm like, wow. It's weird. And I don't realize I do it.
Who-
Wow. You
Yeah,
know?
right. What sound or noise do you hate?
Probably wow.
It's a
I
love
mean,
hate thing.
it's like I hate myself when I do it, but it is how I am feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a love hate. It's a love hate. I get it.
Yeah.
What profession other than yours would you like to attempt?
Other than mine, I would like to attempt. Oh, I've always been interested in like physical therapy because it's helped me so much, but also the mind body connection is
Mhm.
so fascinating to me that I'm like, I could do deep dive into like physical therapy and help heal people. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
what profession would you not like to do?
Um, I don't think that I thought I was on the track to be a lawyer. And once I did that internship, I was like, yeah, no, I can't do this. It's
Yeah,
just, it's complicated, very complicated.
I'm related to two lawyers, so I understand.
Yeah, it's a lot of paperwork and also just like, it's, I'll leave it there, complicated.
Okay, and then as he would say, and finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I told you it was all going to be okay.
And then Miss Religion would say, here are your students.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. Is so as we're coming to a close, is there anything you'd like to add? Any like questions, problems, concerns, life advice, fun things to keep an eye out for? Oh, we should mention that you are a part of an album. You're featured on The Parting Gift, the songs of Gerald Ginsberg
Yes,
out
it's
now, if
quite
people want to get and listen to that. Also, they should reach out to education of employment if they want to get involved with that. Anything
yeah.
else we should
The
plug?
um I don't know. I mean, I think all I want to say, and because I also need to hear it, is like if you're an aspiring artist, is to trust what makes you special. Like, and sometimes you don't even know what it is,
Mhm.
but like just trust that your instincts are right and that your gut is right for
Mhm.
the character, for the scene, for the audition, for like whatever. And um yeah, art for art's sake as well. I sing Unusual Way just because I wanted to sing Unusual Way for 5 years, just because I wanted to, not because anyone was doing it.
Mhm.
And that was art for art's sake. And then it ended up being, a dream come true during the show. So it's like, just follow your passion and what speaks to you.
I think that's a great way to end it. You can stay on while I end recording. But thank you so much for coming on. It was so delightful chatting with you and just like theater nerding out, which like,
Yeah.
I is clearly something I do that I don't realize because people are like, you're so passionate about it. I'm like, I don't realize I get crazed when I talk about it. But yeah, so thank you so much for coming on. It was so nice chatting with you and like learning more about you and your story and like getting to geek out about Piazza.
Thank you for having me. It's like,
Sure.
yeah, I'm such a theater nerd too. I like geek out as well. So it was really
Yeah.
cathartic for me.
Oh yeah. Wait, you honestly, I'm gonna say this now on podcast. If you can come back anytime and you can pick a topic and we will just geek out about it for like an hour.
I'm down.
Yeah, we can talk Ferryman, we can talk Kelly O'Hara, we can talk about Piazza, and we can talk about who else can we talk? Leslie Margarita. Those will be our
Leslie Margarita. Oh my God, we have to a whole hour on Leslie.
I'll even email her and be like, "Hey, I just just interviewed Shereen. I just want to talk about you for like an hour on a podcast. Like, are you okay with that?"
You're not invited necessarily. We just want to fangirl over you.
She can make an appearance. I
Oh,
mean,
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that because she is like, she just makes a room brighter.
she really does. Like, especially like, okay, we're geeking out about her, but when they announced the casting of Nine, and I was like, I think she's playing the part I think she is. And then she's like, "Bitch." I was like, that's it.
Ah, her Saragina is like it for me. She would come, she would bring the house down, and I would tell her that, and she's like, "Honey, I don't know what I'm doing out there." I'm like, "Whatever you're doing is
She's,
it." Like,
yeah,
and she's so down to earth too, which I
yeah,
love.
yeah.
She's just,
Really have like never met her in person, but it's only been like over because during the pandemic, I directed virtual play readings. So she was one of the people I worked with. And
Mhm.
then we finally like I finally was able to like make it work with her to get her on the podcast. So yeah,
Just the best.
she's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a great place to end it, just like geeking out about Leslie Margarita and how she's a queen. And thank you everyone for listening.
Thanks.